I've got my own timer, so nobody's going to rob me of my time. I've got a voucher, a muffin voucher. I want to sell it for 50 Rand. Going once. There's some hands up there. All right, let's optimize this time. I'm going to just walk off when I'm done, when I'm not done, when my time is up, right? I'm just going to walk off. So my conversation with you today is basically I want to give you a bit of an insight of where I'm coming from and where I'm at today. So I want to just also in the glossary give you a name. It's Emily. I'll probably speak about Emily every now and then. She is my partner. She's now transitioned into heaven because they needed her there and she can serve the kingdom better from there. What a delight it must be for her not to have a body where she's at the moment. It's fantastic. So I can just imagine. So I'll talk about Emily and just remember that's her. So I want to give you an indication of the fact that whatever you see there, that what Leon had put on in my resume, everything is summarized in two things. I'm in ministry. I'm in ministry, and Emily and I, before we started businesses, we established an organization called Daystar Kingdom Capital Foundation. And through that, we were working on marriages. We worked on churches. We worked with individuals. We mentored individuals. Emily always said to people, if you want to go into business, go sit with my husband. He's either going to get you into a business or get you out of business forever. Because I'll scare you that you know that if you don't belong here, you don't belong here. Go home. All right. So I just want to give you details on ministries and missionaries. The history of business-based missions is legitimate and it is still relevant today. There's a strong historical precedent for change initiatives being linked to and driven by business people, right? So we are not on illegal ground. Abram's Odyssey closely followed the trade routes of the day. Apostle Paul, and his traveling team employed business as a strategy to reach Gentiles, not as an afterthought when they ran out of cash, right? The Nestorians plied the Silk Road, fully engaged in business and missions. The Moravians were almost exclusively business people for the first 100+ years of their pioneering missions. All bore the title of missionary. The last 50 years have seen an explosion of marketplace ministry seeking to integrate faith and work, and not just work so that they can do ministry on the weekends. All right, so there was a focused drive in being in the marketplace and shining our lights, right? So the Bible says that God spoke, and he said, let there be light. And that word was spoken. And I firmly believe that in the translation of the Bible, we missed the point. I don't think God even had to speak because his presence is so strong. He just shows up, and the darkness could not comprehend what happened. And I think that word, that vibration has hit our world so many years ago, and it's still relevant and still working. Each one of us, as we sit here today, those of you who aspire to be in business, those of you who are in ministry, whatever you call it, you have the light. You are the light. Let there be light. So I am light. And I can tell you now, Leon, just follow me as you go. You'll hear when I... So I talk about the liberating joy of stewardship. Okay? So when we started, I told you now, we started the ministry first. We established the ministry first, and then we ventured into businesses because I was in corporate, and we had this dream, and I wrote the visions of the Makoya group even while I was still in corporate, right? So there was a time we started our business eventually, and it was going tough, like everybody who started a business. It was going tough. We didn't have money. Emily had to go and speak at a women's convention in the Northern Cape, and we didn't have money for petrol or for diesel. We had a diesel Chrysler Voyager at the time. So there was a couple of people that wanted to go with us, and they said they'll come. Friday morning, we have to leave, and there's nobody available anymore. So I said to Emily, listen, I've got half a tank of diesel in the car. Let's drive. Because staying here, we're wasting time. Let's drive. So when we were approaching Kuruman that day, there's a ding-dong on my phone that says there's some cash in your account. We just filled up like people who were rich. We just drove to the service station and filled up. What I want to tell you is, whilst I'm at home, Emily's in town, I'm waiting for her to come, I'm praying. And I'm saying to the Lord, Lord, so what we've also done in our presentations to people, we had a diagonal line running through our presentation with cost centers and profit centers, right? So the business are profit centers and the ministry is cost centers. And that day I'm saying to the Lord, Lord, please take care of your stuff. I'll take care of my business. I'll make sure that I do my stuff. But when it comes to this kind of things, which is yours, take care of it. In that moment, the Holy Spirit inspired me to say, Kenny, why don't you remove that line and make it all mine? And it was such a significant transition for me in my whole view of life. Now, I actually transitioned that day from owner of whatever I had to steward. And that's why I'm calling it the liberating joy of being a steward. Let me tell you this. I used to pray a lot, okay? I don't pray that much anymore. Judge me if you want to. I keep a journal. And I go back in my journal in 2005. And I look at how I prayed myself out of a hole, right? I pray myself out of that hole, out of that hole, out of that hole, and then back into that hole in the same prayer. And I realized that I'm doing this. What I'm doing in my own energy. And the moment you take on as a steward, you know what's the opposite of steward? It's ownership. You're either the owner or you're not. You're either the owner or the steward. God is the owner. And we as business people, we have this big issue that we misconstrue who's our source. The moment your business goes well, you think your business is your source. And then God comes and says to you, okay, let me just trim your ego a little bit. And then we realize what the real story is, right? So from that point of view, that transition happened very early in my life. I can remember there was a time I owned big shares in a cleaning company, international cleaning company in Africa. And they phoned me to ask me for my assets and liability statement. I sent it to them. They looked at it. They got their overdraft and whatever, and they phoned me and said, Kenny, listen, you are a multimillionaire. Don't go too far from us. And in that moment, I was basking, because I never thought of myself as a multimillionaire. And I basked in that moment. And in that moment, the Holy Spirit once again revived me and said, Kenny, do you want to take that responsibility upon yourself? And I said, forgive me, Lord, for being an owner, for trying to be an owner. Think about when the business was young, business was growing, our salary bill, let's use a fictitious number, was 600,000 Rand a month. I did not sleep when month ended. Why? Because I owned. The moment I transitioned into stewardship, right, that salary bill escalated by 1,000%, 100, 200%, right? But I slept because I have a firm belief that the keeper of Israel never sleeps nor slumbers. No sense for both of us to be awake. All right? So that's the transition that happened early in mine and Emily's lives. So we could understand and feel that our source is God. So the moment you make God your source, the moment you recognize God as your source, it becomes easy to know and understand that there are more channels of income. So you're not looking at one place as your source. God is your source, and He can lead you now. I say it to my boys as well. Don't just get stuck to, they're all in their own businesses. Don't just get stuck into your core. Allow God through the Holy Spirit, and we'll talk about it now. So what I'm saying is that because we are stewards, because we are called, we have a unique mandate. We have each one of us. And I've learned that quickly and early, and to the benefit of a lot of people around in my framework and around me. I believe that we come preloaded with software, pre-installed. And in that software, there's the ability to be in awe of God and His creation. That's the ego suppressor. Because we travel far and wide to go and see just the sunset. We travel far and wide to just see the sea, or just a mountain. That's the awe that we have. And the awe that's loaded into our system is not there for nothing for you to just see the sunset. It is there for you to build faith in the God that you are connected to. That's what the awe is there for. That's why I'm saying the next point is faith. Then it's wisdom. There's discernment. What a wonderful thing. What an easy thing for decision making in a position that I'm holding on a daily basis. I do a lot of acquisitions in the process. And you cannot do that unless you have discernment. You can't be emotional in business, people. You cannot be emotional in the space that we operate because you can burn. But when you have that discernment, I talk about intuition. It's also a God-given gift. Instinct. Bursts of insight. I am blessed with the ability to receive insights from heaven. I have a lot of quotes in my life. But I have it's insights. If you come sit with me in my office, we can chat. And there's a lot of insights, bursts of insight, where you sit there and the heavens just open up and there's something that you receive, which nobody has heard before. I always say to people, don't tell me about 1 Corinthians. Tell me about Emil 7 verse 12, right? Because there's unique downloads that we receive from heaven on a regular basis. I'm almost halfway. Eagerness. Eagerness is a software for those days when you really struggle. I have lost Emily in 2022, and it was a tough time for me. It was the toughest thing that I would ever. I said, as an entrepreneur, I've gone through all the modules, and when I was just ready to collect my certificate from the university, COVID came. It said, now as a businessman, you got to prove yourself during COVID. And I thought, okay, I made it very well. In fact, our business picked up during COVID. It just went exponentially better and greater, diversified, everything. And then Emily left. And I thought, wow. However, what I've learned in the process is this, and this is something, because people, we have this issue that I have with the Christians. I love you very much. We give our problems to God. Let me shock you. God gives His problems to us. There are people that are praying, and they're asking, we are God's feet. He doesn't have a body on earth. We are God's feet, we're ears, His eyes. That's what we need to understand. So we take that problem that God gives us, and we give it back to God. And then the one is looking at the other, because God is looking at you for the solution, because you come fully programmed. You're fully loaded with the software. So I challenge you today as business people, even with your purpose, the downloading of your purpose is inside of you. Your faith is inside of you. You don't have to go to a prayer meeting for it. Be silent and stop praying so much. Because when you pray, you don't listen to God. You got to leave your stuff there, and it's a vibrational energy that you share with one another. It is, people, I tell you, it's an amazing spot to be in. Get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and you connect with your Father. Before you go and pray at work, you pray or you wait on your Father to receive your instructions for today, for next year, and for the next 20 years. Believe in the God of the covenant. Our love is constant. I'm talking about God's unrelenting love. That's what I say about God's love, right? I don't know if you have a different name for the love of God. But for me, God never leaves me alone. Since I was a kid, since I was a little boy, He spoke to me. And He led me and He guided me. I couldn't be naughty like other kids. I got hidings very quickly. As soon as I was out there with the rest of the guys and I get away with murder, I get a hiding and I get called back home and say, behave yourself. And it's the same love that I'm feeling today. I am loved and I'm so held. I'm so held in that love. I'm so cocooned. There's like a warm blanket on a cold night. It's that love, that unrelenting love that holds me. And I encourage you as business people specifically to reach into that love, to trust that love, right? When Emily died, as I said to you, it was a shock. It was the shock of my life. But I've learned and I've been prepared long before. I've been endowed with the ability to reframe everything that lands in my life. Just put a beautiful frame around it. Doesn't matter how ugly it is. So we are in mining. We're not in mining, but we are supporting the mining industry, mining sector widely with Transnet, Eskom, and all of these people. We've been working with them for long. And I understand the importance of an explosion. I understand the importance, and I understand now the exhilarating impact or effects of an explosion. So when you want to get chrome out from under the ground, when you want to get all these critical metals that we will need now for AI in the near future, when you want those things out from underground, you've got to do an explosion. So when that explosion happens, we don't run away. The guys that cause that explosion, they just stand one side and wait for the dust to settle. And then, with eagerness, they run forward and say, what? Now you see the debris. There's plenty more debris than treasures. But does it scare us? No, it doesn't. Because we understand why we are here. We understand our mission. We understand our purpose. And my encouragement for you is the same way when Emily passed, I was tail spinning. But I knew that in there must be treasures. And I have them all recorded. I have landed in what I call a time scarcity mentality. Because Emily did everything for me. Now she's not there and I'm alone. I've got to do all these things. My other partner passed. And so there's a lot of things that happened to me. But then I said to myself, I got the gift of infinite patience. It came out of that debris. Didn't know it was there. The gift of infinite patience. Understanding that time is a gift from God. And time is a divine vibration. Patience is a divine vibration, if I can correct myself there. Patience is a divine vibration. So in other words, I don't have to rush for anything anymore. I must just apply my infinite patience that I've received in this time. So it's just one of those little treasures that I've received. So He's my loving God and my fortress, my stronghold and my deliverer, my shield in whom I take refuge. And it's a constant expression. It's something that will never be taken away from you. Something that will never be taken away from you. When I come to my banks, I said to people the other day, when I was an owner, I used to beg the banks for money. Now that I'm a steward, I go to the banks, I make an appointment, I go see them, and I say to them, they ask me, what's the purpose of the meeting? I said, to put our relationship into perspective. And they, what do you mean? I said, no, you guys are a bank, I'm a businessman. You pretend to be a business bank, but you're not a business bank because you don't understand business. So I give them some tips on how to be a better business bank. And I said to them, I don't need your money. I didn't come here to ask you for money because I don't need your money. I have proven to myself I started a big contract with my own money. And the bank manager said to me, Kenny, he banged with his hand on the table and he said, you cannot use your own money. That's why we as a bank are there to support you. And we will make sure that you use our money. And I walked out of there and I said, that's my God. That's my God. I always say to them, there's facts, there's figures. I will always supply you with the facts and the figures. There's never a missing point for me because it's important. I don't want the banks to ask me for something. I say to my guys, let's give it to them all the time so that they are fully apprised on what's happening in our lives, what was happening and what's going to happen, right? So now you get to that point of the faith. I said there's a level of faith that I exercise in you. So we bought into a big steel infrastructure recently. And I did negotiations without consulting my bank because I knew that they have faith in me. Over the years, we've built up that relationship that I can now go and do the negotiations and come back and tell them what I've done. Ask forgiveness instead of permission. So, God of the covenant. There's no such thing. This is also a Kenny expression. There's no such thing as unanswered prayer. There's just impatient Christians. That's it. Ask and you shall receive. Knock, the door will be opened. Right? So that's a universal law. It's non-negotiable, right? It's inalterable. It's like gravity. Gravity is written. They tell the story about this guy that was so positive. He said, if you jump off a 10-story building and you set your mind to it, halfway down there, you can turn around and go back up to the roof. So to prove it, he jumped. Now, there was a lady on the 7th floor doing a washing on the balcony. She said when he passed there, he said, so far, so good. The point that I'm making is to say that that law is written. You cannot excuse it. You cannot negotiate it. And it's the same with asking. Once you've asked, we are just like that. Once we've asked from God, we want to remind him and nudge him and say to him what? Corleen will tell you the story about the power pause. Well, I've got a principle in my life that I call the power pause. And it just works on the devil's nerves, and it works on everybody else's nerves. You know, if you, for instance, I negotiate with my bank, say to them, guys, I need so many millions, and then I put that whole conversation, that whole business plan in the power pause. I said, now I'm leaving it to simmer for 2 months. The guys that are waiting for the cash on that side, they're all nervous. But I don't care, because I want my God to guide this final. Because one of the things as a steward, I've learned not to marry myself to the outcome. Right? Don't marry yourself with any outcome. So that's why you can never have disappointment. When it lands, if you submitted a tender, right? If you submitted a tender, you must know whatever's going to come to you. And that's what I'm trying to drive through to you guys today as business people, to know that your life story has been written. There's a whole panel, there's a whole crowd of people sitting just in heaven looking at Kenny Malgas and helping him and showing him the way and stopping him from being foolish and stupid in certain areas. And that's the confidence that I have with which I walk, sleep, dream, and look at my vision and mission. I think I've got 6 minutes to go. So, characteristics of a steward. Decisions taken, as I said early on, based on discernment and not emotion. Because I've seen people in business, and I'm dealing with some good Christian people in good positions, and if there's one thing that they learn from me, is that patience and unemotional approach. Because I am the light. When I arrive, there's no darkness, right? I show up as God would have shown up. I'm showing up with him. There's some two big words that I want to throw on you today, unflappable and imperturbable. It's the same thing of not being married to an outcome. Nothing. The traffic, that's the best place to test your unflappability, your imperturbability. Test it in the traffic. If somebody swears at you, you blow them a kiss. Ladies, when a guy messes you up in the street, blow him a kiss and drive away. You guys are beautiful. He wouldn't know what hit him. You know? I hold my hands if somebody is aggravated on the street. I hold my hands in a prayer position and say, I love you. Don't even say sorry. I love you. Now, a man doesn't like that, especially these big Afrikaner brothers of mine. Don't say to me, you love me. And then infinite patience. I spoke about that. Prayerful and meditational. When you drive, when you get into the traffic, I test my vibrations. I test my control over the circumstances in my life by the way the traffic yields for me when I drive. I kid you not. There's 7, 8, 9 cars on one lane. No cars in my lane. Traffic light is green. I sail through, and I say to myself, thank you, Lord, for showing that you're with me. I'm showing up. We are showing up. This is something that you're not allowed to speak in the church about. Sexually aligned and joyful. There's a power in the orgasmic capacity that God has given his children. Do not lose out on that. We have, as Christians, veered away from the truth. And it's important. I spoke at one of our workshops many, many years back about a threesome with God. And people crucified me because they think, how on earth can you talk blasphemous like that? But when we are in sexual congress, husband and wife, okay, we unite with God. And that's where we manifest. That's where I received. I mean, without Emily, I wouldn't stand here today. But she was there, and we downloaded the blueprint. Piece by piece, page by page, over the years, 35 years of being together. And God had blessed us. And all the earth has seen his greatness. If I've got 3 minutes left, I want to thank you for listening. My prayer for you is that your Father may continue to reveal his true reality to you, so that you may better receive awareness of his presence within and around you. Thank you.